Two cars, one from Germany, one from Japan, but they're closer than you think. A 2012 BMW 328i and my 2007 Lexus IS250. I've owned my Lexus for a few years now, but I've always been curious of its German counterpart. These cars are actually really close to each other, not only in price, reliability surprisingly, which we'll touch on in the future, but also just their specs. Today I have a good friend of mine joining me who's the owner of this car, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like. This right here is Chris, the co-founder of VRC, and today we're going to talk about his BMW. So I've owned my car for a few years. How long have you had your BMW?
I've had my BMW for about 5 years now.
How many miles does your BMW have on it?
When I originally bought this BMW, it had 130,000 miles, and right now I'm at about 215,000.
God damn. And they say BMWs are unreliable. Let's walk around these cars and see the differences between the two. So obviously you guys have seen a lot of my Lexus on the channel. If you haven't, we'll touch on it in a second. But Chris here, let's do a little walk around this BMW. Underneath this engine, what's the engine code?
N52.
So this is an N52 making 230 horsepower. With this, I have no idea what the engine code is, but it doesn't matter. This makes substantially less horsepower with 208. This BMW is probably a decent amount faster, and we'll go test ride them, and we'll talk a little bit how we think they compare. But we got a V6 and an inline six. The similarities don't end with the engines, however. Both these cars are actually both all-wheel drive. Lexus with all-wheel drive, BMW with X-Drive. On the interior, both of the cars are pretty highly equipped from the factory. Of course, Lexus being the higher end of Toyota and BMW just being BMW and not really having any base. You got the wood trim, leather seats, pretty high quality, highly put together interior, analog gauges, both cars from the same period. If we come to the rear, you also have not a lot of space compared to other cars, and the Lexus I feel like might be a little bit tighter. How's it feel in the back there?
I'm about 5'9", and I got decent room, but nothing crazy.
I mean, just stepping around the car, they're pretty similar builds. I really wanted to compare these two. When I bought the Lexus and then I drove this for the first time, I was very surprised at how similar these cars rode and drove to each other, and just how similar these things are from the era. And then not to mention the M3 came with the V8 and the ISF came in a V8. It's just like the perfect two.
Legroom, not so great.
Yeah, look at the legroom in there. How's it feel?
At 5'9", my knees are actually, I'm still comfortable, but my knees are a lot more not happy.
I feel like if I was driving, I could move it a little forward, but it's much tighter than the BMW is back there, isn't it?
It is.
Take a quick step into the Lexus, same analog dash. Got a screen, unlike the BMW, but a pretty just decently put together interior. You got leather seats, just a pretty basic kind of luxury car interior when you're comparing the two. But I feel like the biggest thing is going to be about these cars is the drive, because BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and then you got Lexus, which is just known for their high quality, just being the little bit one step above Toyota. So now comparing the Lexus to the BMW, the Lexus rides a little bit more smooth. I think there's a little bit more space here in the front. But talking about some of the maintenance things I've done before we really get into the driving aspect of it, the couple of things I've done are just basic maintenance, but I've also done axles and brakes in this car. Brakes are also just simple maintenance, but axles are something I suppose just with time, with miscare, that kind of just goes wrong. Now comparing it to the BMW, I feel like there's a little bit more space up in the front. There might not be the space in the rear, but I feel like the dash is a little bit further in. I don't know about you.
I agree.
It kind of just feels like there's a lot more arm room. As a driver and as a passenger, I feel like you have a little bit more kind of space here in the front. But going back and talking about some of the points of the BMW doesn't have a couple of things. It doesn't have any type of screen in it unless you get an upgraded package. One thing we were freaking out about the other day, I know you saw, you're like, your car has a backup camera? 07. My car has a backup camera. So the Lexus has a little bit more amenity in it. I also feel like the Lexus rides a little bit softer than the BMW does, while the BMW is more stiff and more sporty. So now we're letting Chris drive the car. How do you feel it compares to your BMW?
So far from the initial impression, just kind of coasting here, it does feel a lot lighter, like you were saying. Like the ride is definitely a bit smoother.
It also feels a little bit more floaty, while the BMW feels a lot more sporty.
And like you were saying before, there's definitely a lot more room here. I feel a lot less claustrophobic.
Yeah. The other thing we were talking about earlier is the steering wheel.
Yes, the steering wheel is 10 times better than the steering wheel. I would even go as far as saying the E90 M3 steering wheel is not as nice as this IS250 wheel.
BMW started making their wheels super bulky for some reason, and the E90 is no exception. And the Lexus, I got paddle shifters.
Yeah, this bad boy feels like I'm in a Lexus IS500F Sport right now.
We're gonna show this BMW driver some real power. Why don't you give her a punch and see what you think about it?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I said it the one time, but they're really similar. Like when it comes to punching it. I mean, this is, like I said before, it's a little laggy.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more laggy.
Yes.
But when it's getting up, it feels like the exact same car.
The BMW, I feel like, pulls a little bit more linearly and a little bit harder, but they're close. And the transmissions definitely make a big effect. The one thing I've always kind of disliked about this car is they put paddle shifters in it, but they just made them so awkward to use because they're trying to dumb them down for the people who really don't know how to use paddle shifters. So I feel like BMW on that aspect is like superior driving machine, where Lexus is like
reliability, 90-year-olds.
Yup. So jumping into the BMW, to do a little bit more of a comparison between the two, let's talk about some features, because I feel like this is the biggest differentiating factor between the two cars. So talking a little bit about some of the features, you have push to start in the car, but a big question I have is, do you have keyless entry?
No.
So no keyless entry, which gives 1 point to the Lexus. The other thing I want to talk about, one leg up that the BMW has, is the fact that this thing has cup holders. Even though they're in a little bit of an awkward place, it has 2 cup holders, while the Lexus only has a single cup holder. How do you feel about the Lexus only having 1 cup holder?
Not a big fan of it. I am an avid drinker, as most human beings are, so I don't think it would turn me off from the car, but I think it's like a...
Yeah, it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why was there not an additional cup holder? Now, we got heated seats in the front, correct?
Yes.
Do we have ventilated seats in the front?
No.
So no cooled seats whatsoever in the BMW. Well, the Lexus has that in the car. When it comes to buying an affordable car, the biggest thing you want to look at is not just the purchase price, but also the reliability. So while we're talking about reliability, how has this thing treated you over the last 200,000 miles?
Besides regular maintenance like oil changes, the car has treated me pretty well. I did have a front axle go out, a front arm go out. Other than that, nothing major. The computer does like to be a little silly sometimes, but it's nothing that's breaking my bank account, as other BMW owners could probably disagree with me.
I feel like it's always going to be something weird with the cars as age kind of happens with them and just things wear out. But other than that, this car's been pretty solid for Chris. BMW, Lexus, I mean, we've kind of all had the same things go for them. Pretty close in terms of performance. The BMW, I'll get in the driver's seat in just a second, but the BMW, I feel like, already has more of a sporty handling suspension to it. So now that I'm behind the driver's seat of this BMW, one thing that I want to mention is the German quality. We always talk about German reliability. That was a thing of the past, and now German cars have kind of become this super over-engineered, impossible to fix thing. But when we talk about the dash, the door cards, all of those things, the door handle has a little bit of wear and it became sticky. But with the Lexus IS250, that thing's dash is destroyed. They had warranties that they no longer offer with the cars. It's just this weird kind of thing that's going on with them that the BMW doesn't have. And I think that's a major win in the BMW's department. But when you do get behind the wheel, the one thing I immediately notice is how massive this steering wheel is, but also the dash comes out quite a bit further in the BMW than it does in the Lexus. There's a little less space up here than there is in the Lexus, while the BMW has more space in the rear. But overall, I mean, just getting behind the wheel of the BMW, much more sporty handling. The suspension feels much more tight. The engine, it feels very similar. They rev up a little different because of the different engine configurations, but you're not really going to be revving these things out like crazy or anything. The car doesn't handle more rough than the Lexus does, but if you're looking for that sporty experience, this provides it, while the all-wheel drive Lexus doesn't really have it. Well, there you have the difference between the and the 3 Series. I think we were kind of talking just a little bit ago. The IS kind of has a lot more than the BMW offers, and well, I think I personally would take the IS. What about you?
I agree. I think after really getting to drive it and you kind of telling me everything it comes with and everything it has, I think I would, if I could go back in time, I'd probably take the IS.
Yeah, but then again, BMW is a BMW. I feel like there's a lot that car has to offer. If you are looking for something a little bit more performance oriented, the BMW could be the way. Well, if you're looking for something that's just straight daily driver, I feel like this could be the option, but that has more space. I will say that 100% has more space than this IS does. With that said, that's all I have for the video. If you guys aren't subscribed, go down, subscribe to the channel, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Look at my tread. That's unsafe. Unsafe. Don't drive that car in the rain.